know, this is a second chance for me. It's my last chance, and I just wanted to bring it.
The comeback story of the year is no contest, Mickey Rourke. At age 52, Rourke has been written off as a Hollywood washout, a victim of high living and movies that sunk so low no one even heard of them. Then came The Wrestler, the story of a fighter that restored Rourke's reputation and made him an assured Oscar nominee as Best Actor. As Randy the Ram Robinson, he plays a wrestler barely hanging on to a fading career.
I'm an old, broken-down piece of meat, and I'm alone.
For Rourke, the life parallels are inescapable.
Bagel heard about my basketball bet.
Tall, blonde, and handsome, Rourke was quickly on his way to stardom when he burst on the movie scene in the 1980s. As the 1950s greaser stud in Diner and the arsonist in Body Heat.
You can take off your dress.
In 1986, he played erotic games with Kim Basinger in 9.5 Weeks and became a global sex symbol.
To all my friends!
A year later, he hit the skids with Faye Dunaway in Barfly and proved he could hit acting depths. By the 1990s, Rourke had burned out on high living and lousy movies. He deserted Hollywood for the boxing ring. He won more than a few fights and messed up those pretty boy looks. In this decade, Rourke was barely a memory to most moviegoers. Then came The Wrestler and a shot at a comeback.
This is where I belong.
We talked with Mickey Rourke and the film's director, Darren Aronofsky, and asked Rourke if he thought The Wrestler might be his last chance to prove himself as an actor. Did you really think it was your last chance?
No, I knew it was my last chance.
Because there's a career. I mean, you leave your career in the 90s to box. You know, you go off and do this, and everybody said, well, what's he doing?
I kind of blamed it on, I got tired of acting, but I just had some personal issues that I had to work through. Boxing was something that I started out, was going to be my profession. I got injured. I never went back to it. I had issues of as a man that I had to finish, and I wanted to do it one more time at a competitive level before I got too old. Mm-hmm. What I didn't know is that when I got done after the 5.5 years of boxing, that there'd be another 10 years of not being able to go, get back on the door. Mm-hmm. And so I was living on hope and fumes. And
those fumes are good,
And then slowly, directors would I'd get a job here and there, and then this guy came along.
I should ask both of you, before people who haven't seen The Wrestler yet, just who Randy the Ram Robinson is. Who is he?
He's Randy the Ram Robinson was a big wrestling star back in the 80s, fictionally. Mm-hmm. When we talk about wrestling, we're talking about professional wrestling. And the film starts 20 years later now, present day, when those glory days are sort of in the past. And it's about it's kind of a character study of Mickey Rourke playing this character as he goes through his life and tries to hold on to some of that glory.
To answer your question, we had a premiere the other night in Los Angeles, and it was just such an honor because all these older wrestlers from the 80s showed up. Rowdy Roddy Piper, mm-hmm. Greg Valentine, and
Brutus Beefcake,
the Ageless,
Lex Luger,
Ric Flair, and it was just like, it was wild to see these guys on the red carpet. It was like they were in the lights again. They just loved it.
They'd be the toughest critics you'd ever have to
But that's what we wanted, and that's what we were so goddamn proud about, mm-hmm. because at the end of the day, they were having their round table talking about it.
They were in tears. They were.
These guys they just came up and said, thank you for respecting our profession the way you did and giving it the integrity and the truth.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these guys at the end of the day, when they're in their late 40s, early 50s, they can't tie their shoes. And as Darren has mentioned before in interviews, there's no workers' compensation, or there's no hospitalization, and it's not always that happy ending.
You have people sort of beating the hell out of Mickey as well. This wasn't the training period.
No, we actually, what I didn't know about professional wrestling, and mm-hmm. and I have to admit, in the beginning, I didn't really, coming from a boxing background, I didn't really have a whole lot of love or respect for the sport. And then after about the second 2.5 months after my third trip to the hospital, getting another MRI. I mean, you know, somebody who's 265 is picking you up and throwing you down, something's going to snap, crackle, and pop. And, you know, I spent a lot of time in the gym building up my body and putting on the 35 pounds. And then 4 months of the wrestling training was really, really hard because it was a sport I knew nothing about. These guys learn how to fall a certain way, and it takes them several years to develop a technique, and you have to really work off the other wrestler and trust the other wrestler. And it's a very interesting world. There's a lot of camaraderie with these people, and then there's also the universal sort of thing that comes with it. With any athlete, there comes that time and day where they think you're too old and they don't want you anymore, and they put you on those, or they waive you like in baseball or football, and they put you on the bench. And a lot of these guys, you know, they keep pretty fit 24/7, and even though they may have a certain tag on the age number, that they're not ready to roll over and go do something else.
Good things just got better. Introducing an all-new third hour of Good Morning America.
Welcome to Good Morning America Now.
Good Morning America Now. Good Morning America Now.
On ABC News Now.
Get your Good Morning America now at abcnewsnow.com.